This is part 2 of the tutorial on Martus's personnel budgeting. Let's take a closer look at positions. When you first select this, you'll see a list of all positions. You can limit this list by any of these filters: employee, position type, or any of your dimensions. Note that the dimensions that you see in this video are for demo purposes only. Your own Martus Tools environment will have the dimensions that are set up for you. Each position has a title and an employee name. You can use the same title for as many employees as you wish. This demo has several counselors and several field service coordinators, for example. If you need to budget for vacant positions, you would have to have unique titles for each vacant position. A single employee can be assigned to multiple positions. In fact, that's the way in which you would handle an employee whose pay hits multiple budget areas. For example, someone who works in 2 different departments. An employee, and remember we use the term employee in a very generic sense to represent anyone for whom you are budgeting compensation, may be set as taxable or non-taxable. If not taxable, that means that their compensation will not be included in the payroll tax calculation, even if the pay types assigned to them are set as taxable. You can set a start and an end date on a position if you wish. These are optional and usually left blank. The position is always associated with specific dimensions to indicate the budget worksheet on which it is related. Let's take a look at a specific employee. Use the Edit button on the left-hand side of the list to look up an individual. You'll notice there's a separate pay item assigned for every kind of compensation that applies to a position. If the pay item is for an hourly pay type, you'll need to enter hours per pay period and the hourly rate. If the pay item is for a regular pay type, you don't enter any hours and just use the amount to be budgeted per the frequency of the pay type. Now, let's look at the Detail tab. The Detail tab lists the monthly impact of every pay item assigned to every position. You can see how some frequencies, biweekly salary in this case, show a larger monthly total in some months than others. This is because these totals use the first payroll date that you supplied in the config in order to determine which months have 3 pay dates and which just have 2. You can filter this list by employee, position type, pay type, account, or any of your dimensions. You can also sort this list by any of the columns. You can see that some of this data is shown in blue. This facilitates your navigation throughout this module. All of these allow you to drill down to a specific pay item, to a specific employee, or to a specific position. You can also go straight from looking at a single position to seeing all the compensation details just for that particular position. Another use for the Detail tab is to make changes to rates. Right now, I'm looking at all of the budget details for a specific position. If I select the salary pay type, for example, a new button appears at the bottom, Update Pay Items. Click that to use the Change Pay Items box to specify a flat or percentage increase and a starting month. Here, I am specifying a 5% increase starting in the month of July. I could also enter a negative amount or percentage to decrease compensation totals. And of course, you can use this technique to change the compensation rate on many pay items at once, as for example the health insurance rate on all of your employees. There's a few other important tasks available at the bottom of the detail list. One button will wipe out any changes with Return to Original Rates. The other one is used to delete selected pay items. The Summary tab totals the monthly impact of the scenario by budget worksheet. You can also use the checkbox at the top left to display the payroll tax totals on this summary. From the summary, you can post this scenario into the General Martus Tools budget framework, either as a scenario budget that only contains the personnel budget accounts, or into one of your overall budgets. We're going to post to a scenario-specific budget. Because it is scenario-specific, it will only contain the personnel accounts. This will help you focus on just that aspect of your budget. When you post the scenario budget, you'll see a green message at the top of the screen. Now, this budget is part of the general budgeting framework within Martus. You can use the planner summary to review these totals. Select the scenario-specific budget. You can use the planner summary and any other reports, such as the budget analysis, to compare various budget totals. Now that we've posted our scenario to a budget, we've looked at all the features of personnel budgeting. What are your next steps? At the beginning of this tutorial, we talked about how you can load data. You can enter everything manually. You can load everything from a file called a pay data file. Or you can do a combination, loading data from a pay data file, then making changes through the personnel budgeting screens. To get started, create a new scenario, then export a pay data file. This will serve as a template because it is blank. Using data from your payroll system, fill out the pay data file. There are complete instructions on how to format this data in the knowledge base. Once the file is complete, use the Import Pay Data File button on the Scenarios screen to import this file. In conclusion, we hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial and find it useful. Please refer to the knowledge base for additional documentation and information. If you have questions, please reach out to us with a support ticket or via email at support@martussolutions.com. Thank you for using Martus's personnel budgeting solution.